Well played. Larry Allen died.
That's loud, right?
Hey man.
Oh, you're a freaking idiot. Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
what's up?
How
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
It,
It
it is your
is your
boy.
boy.
It's
It's
the
the
Birdman
Birdman
here.
here.
Here from
Here from
Birdman
Birdman
Studios
Studios
and the
and the
Birdman
Birdman
Sports
Sports
Podcast.
Podcast.
Go ahead
Go
and do
ahead
it
and do
with
it
me
with me
one
one
time.
time. Woo! Woo!
That's
That's
right.
right.
Keep it
Keep it
going
going
over
over
from the
from the
Birdman
Birdman
Show.
show.
Uh, you
You
are
are
watching the
watching the
Birdman
Birdman
Sports
Sports
Podcast.
Podcast.
I am
I am
joined,
joined,
of
of
course,
course,
with my
with my
co-host,
co-host,
Big
Big
Sam.
Sam.
We're waiting on
Waiting on
Rashard
Rashard,
as
as
usual because he's
usual, because
always
he's always
late.
late.
I
I
swear the
swear
boy's
the
gonna
boys
be
will
late
be
for his
late
own
for his own
funeral.
funeral.
But
But
yes,
yes,
definitely,
definitely.
Big Sam, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Wasn't very appreciative of you calling me an idiot just a moment ago. But I'm okay.
Doesn't sound like you are.
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'll be good because Dallas won in the finals.
Okay, okay.
You know.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, everybody's got their opinion, but
I don't know. That's a pretty good opinion.
um, so opinion. Um, but yes, we are definitely here. We are watching.
Yeah, it's a bad echo there. Unfortunately, Sam forgot that he had to mute his whenever I was talking. So yeah, I did. I did. I thought you were a big boy, so I thought we can get you your pull ups. I guess we're back to what we're doing here. I am the host. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, hey, like everything else, I have to wear a lot of hats. So I'm a host, producer. Um, I also have to take care of music, commercials, all that good stuff. So yeah, I do it all. So it is what it is. But okay, so yeah, as Sam was talking about when we first got in, uh, yeah. Unfortunately, I know this part's not a laughing matter, but yes, Cowboy Hall of Famer Larry Allen suddenly died at age 52. Now, Big Sam, what do you recall about Larry Allen?
I mean, Larry Allen was a little bit before my time, but as an offensive lineman myself, I've seen plenty of highlights, watched plenty of videos on him. Um, Not only just being an absolutely dominant player on the field, but his lifting videos of him. There's a few out there, but him like bench pressing like 700 pounds in like what the early 2000s or whenever that was, which is just almost like unheard of. Is it fake? Who knows? We're not gonna say that now, but he was to me kind of like the pioneer of these really athletic, big, strong offensive linemen that we see today. With like Tyron Smith. Um, Damn, I drew a straight blank. Boy for the 49ers. Trent Williams. There you go. Trent Williams. Um, Shoot, Joe Staley, Joe Thomas, guys like that. I think he really kind of blazed a trail for a lot of these really athletic guys that we see today on the line. He was a very underrated athlete for his size, I think, especially way back when. So he's a football legend. So it's a sad day for the game of football.
Yeah, I agree. Now I vaguely remember Allen. Like I said, he was a second round pick out of Sonoma State in 1994. And he was part of that Cowboys team. I believe that the '96 Cowboys team that won the Super Bowl. Um, and the crazy thing about it is he played 12. He played 14 years, but 12 of his 14 years he played for the Cowboys. So he was a big name there. Definitely a big staple there with the Cowboys. And I know a big loss for the Cowboy family and Cowboy Nation. So I do send my condolences to all those Cowboy fans to go along with the fact that you're a Cowboy fan. Um, Just playing. Sorry, I'm just playing. But yes, you already know. Shots fired. Um, but no, check it. I know. No, seriously, that is sad. That he passed away, and like they're saying suddenly. Now I'm not seeing anything to where it's saying what actually happened. That's what I was trying to look up. Um, he died suddenly while on vacation in Mexico. Um, wow. So that's unfortunate. You know, you go on vacation to relax, and you're stressed out and freaking now you at the pearly gates. That's pretty sad. I mean, like I said, I feel for him. Definitely um, condolences to his family and Cowboy Nation. Okay, so Sam, let's move on to a little bit more NFL news. So it came in that Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson has now agreed to an extension reportedly worth over 140 million, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Jefferson's salary will reportedly be 35 million, um, beating out San Francisco's Nick Bosa by $1 million. What are your thoughts on that?
Congratulations. Always congratulate a guy when he gets his money. Um, I'm a little bit surprised that he wanted to stay in Minnesota. Um, with Kirk Cousins leaving, you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins, but that's a guy that gets his guys the ball. Um, he's gonna get you your stats, which as a wide receiver, that's what you want the most of. You want your targets, you want your catches, you want to be the guy. That's how we about that a little bit. You do want to be the guy when you're playing a wide receiver. And he is that guy. He is that good. He's, in my opinion, one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. Um, top two, top three. Um, so he's still going to have a good season, I think, for Vikings. He'll still have a good career. He's still going to get his numbers. But it will be interesting to kind of see how it plays out with the new quarterback. Probably this young guy, whoever that was that they drafted. I don't remember who it was, unfortunately. But good for him though, signing that contract, getting his money.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a fan of his for a while. I just think he's a very dynamic receiver. I am very surprised that he decided to stay. I did not expect that. Um, but I mean, it's one of those things where he's had quite a bit of success there in Minnesota. Team organization that he knows very well, and that he's probably just very comfortable with. So I was kind of hoping he might go somewhere else. But I like I said, I can't really fault him. I can't really fault him because you hear about this a lot. Like when we talk in the NBA, when we get to that point, you're like you think somebody like Giannis, who could have definitely have gone somewhere else. He definitely could have gone somewhere else when his contract came up, but he decided he wanted to stay. Some people say it's loyalty. Sometimes it's just the fact that you know what, I'm comfortable here. You know, why do I need to go somewhere else? I'm comfortable here. Let me just stay here and do my thing and just keep it moving. Now, it is going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen as far as their quarterback situation goes, especially losing cousin Cook, or Cuzzy Coke, or Kirk Cuzzy Cozo, what we call him, or Captain Kirk, yeah, 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 Kirk Cuzzo. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that team. But like I said, I mean, it's just one of those things. We're just going to have to, like everything else, we're just going to have to freaking wait and see what's going to happen with a lot of this stuff. So now my next question to you, as far as we're going to keep with NFL, What rookie do you think has the best shot to have a breakout season, if any?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, like I said, I think last week, I don't really tend to keep up on too much NFL offseason news. I follow the draft a little bit, so I have a little bit of an idea of where some guys were drafted. So going off just what I know on that, I would say that the Bears have set up Caleb Williams to be successful. They do have a lot of guys around him that are dynamic playmakers that we've seen make plays with arguably less talented quarterbacks. Um, like I said last week, you have Keenan Allen. He's a veteran guy. He's caught for over 10,000 yards in the league. Um, Takes a pretty special player to do that. So even with his age, that's still a veteran guy that he can produce for you. You still have DJ Moore. He's a true number one receiver, but I think you add in a couple of guys like Keenan Allen and they brought in one other guy. I can't remember who it was, but they have a pretty dynamic receiving core. You still have Cole Kmet out at tight end as well, so they got some guys around them. So I think as long as that offensive line can keep him clean, I think he has a chance to have a pretty decent season as a rookie. Which, regardless of him being the number one pick or not, he is still a rookie. So there are going to be moments where he struggles. Bad lulls throughout the season, but he's going to have some good moments as well. Um, and then I think too, man, Joe Alt for the Chargers. He's an offensive lineman. He is coming in from I think Notre Dame. He is an absolute massive man and just a tank of a guy. To anchor your offensive line, which that's what Herbert needs is protection more than anything. I think he is talented enough to win games for you and to get his guys the ball, get his guys their stats, regardless of losing Keenan Allen or not. So having him come in as a rookie, I think will be big. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. Um, and then pairing him with Rashawn Slater on the other side, you're going to have some pretty good guys out there on the edges to protect him. With the ever growing importance of edge rushers on both sides of the ball. So I think those two guys are two guys that I'm in particular am keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I can't argue. I can't argue with that. I think the Bears have really done a pretty good job with that. And you would think, maybe if they made sure they put that same effort into Justin Fields and developing him, maybe they wouldn't have had to go out and get a Caleb Williams. Um, so with that being said, looking at those two quarterbacks, because Fields they moved Fields, right? So yeah, Fields was still okay. So looking at those two quarterbacks, I'm gonna ask you this question, just based on let's just talk eye test. I mean, let's. I mean, I'm not really gonna throw out Justin Fields. His last few years, it's been rough. I don't know if the Bears did a whole lot to really help the situation. I mean, yeah, bringing in DJ Moore was a great idea, but from a development standpoint, I don't know if they actually really if I don't know if they really try to develop him into a quarterback. I just don't think that staff is capable of doing that. That being said, looking at both those quarterbacks, Justin Fields still very young. Of course, okay, going to be a rookie this year. Um, who has the most upside, and who has the highest ceiling? Do you think?
Well, don't get it twisted. I still think Justin Fields is a very good quarterback. Um, we've seen how absolutely dynamic he is with his legs. And talking quarterbacks, you don't always want to make the conversation about their legs when they can run. Like these guys can. Like him, like Lamar, Jalen Hurts. I think he's an underrated passer. Um, I think his passing stats improved every single year. He wasn't throwing for eye-popping numbers necessarily. He wasn't throwing for 5,000 yards, obviously, but his touchdowns improved every year. I think his yards improved every year, were similar every single year. And his interceptions they dropped every single year. So just looking at like the major stats like that, he did improve. And I'm of the opinion that when it comes to quarterbacks and developing young quarterbacks, it's not just on the team. It's on those guys by themselves too. But they got to make sure that they're getting in, they're throwing with their receivers. They're just throwing the ball every day. Making sure they're watching film. It's not just on the team. So I don't want to blame the Bears entirely on the development standpoint, but in terms of setting them up to be successful, I don't think they did a very good job of that outside of getting DJ Moore. Um, Bigger upside in terms of talent, I would say it's Caleb Williams. I think he does have a better arm. He can be dynamic with his legs. He can make plays with his legs. He's not necessarily going to be a Lamar or a Justin Fields in terms of that, but similar to like Mahomes, he can pick up 30, 40 yards a game, on some scrambles. Overall, though, if Justin Fields, works and stays with the Steelers, I think that coaching staff would be a staff that, with Mike Tomlin, would buy into him as a young player. Mike Tomlin is very high on him. I think they signed Russell Wilson to a 1 year deal, as a veteran guy to kind of maybe be a little bit of a mentor to him and kind of have that like leap year that we've seen guys have where they play behind a veteran guy and then it's their turn to take the team over. So I think it's that kind of situation that we're seeing with him and Pittsburgh. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think both guys can still have a solid career. I think Fields can have a solid career if he's given a chance as a starter. And I think Caleb Williams will have a pretty decent career as well overall and a pretty decent rookie season. So those are my thoughts on those two guys.
Yeah, there's a lot that I like about both of them. Um, and I definitely 100% agree that it's never just 100% on the organization. It's just not. The players they do have to make sure that they're getting their reps in. Same thing I tell my guys when we play. Hey, you got to make sure you're doing your job to get better. And I can't just rely, or you can't just rely on the fact of getting into practice, of me making you do different things. Now this season, I know for us, it's been rough because we haven't had a chance to practice, which really honestly scares me when it comes to my team. It should scare a lot of people when it comes to our team. How we've been playing, and the fact that we're playing like that, and we haven't even practiced. We haven't had one practice together this season. So very proud of those guys. We'll talk about them a little bit more in the show. Um, but no, I definitely agree with you on that. I think that DJ Moore did help, but it just wasn't enough. Now I cannot attest to what kind of work that young man was putting in. I don't remember hearing any reports or anybody from the organization that were questioning his work ethic or how he was working. And so for me, that's why I kind of lean more towards it being an organizational issue, um, with them not developing him. Because most time you hear that kind of stuff, like Kyler Murray was a big one. Used to hear all the time, especially these last few years, that he just really, wasn't putting work in during film. He wasn't doing a lot of the extra stuff that would help him probably develop. You heard those reports coming out of the Cardinals organization. So like when you start hearing those type of things, you start questioning. Like I said, I don't ever remember hearing anything like that when it came to Justin Fields. So, like I said, that's why I kind of, I might lean a little bit more towards the organization, because even if he's not grasping everything, let's say he's just struggling trying to grasp like this thing. Okay, so who do you have in place that's really trying to help him push that through? And you know what? And sometimes for some guys, It's just a change of scenery, and that's all they need. I really, when I found out he was going to the Steelers, I was like, this could be what that young man needs, especially with that organization. And even though they signed Russell Wilson, um, yeah, even though they signed Russell Wilson, I think even signing Russell Wilson was good for the organization because you're not going to need him to do a whole lot not with that squad. I think the Steelers are honestly a quarterback away from being contenders. And so if they can work this out with even if like I say even if Russell Wilson comes in and plays like a role like kind of like a Trent Dilfer or Joe Flacco, you know what I'm saying? Where comes in, hey, I'm just saying, man. He play a role where all he has to do is manage the game. He ain't got to do nothing. He ain't got to do nothing. Over. He ain't got to be overzealous or nothing. They just complete the passes you need to complete. Don't turn the ball over. I'm just saying, man. He came in. He helped get his team to get the victory and everything. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Trent Dilfer is like a Joe Montana or something. I ain't saying all that. I'm just saying though. I'm not comparing him to Trent. I'm just saying as far as just, you ain't got to do nothing. You just got to just get the ball, hand the ball off, or get the ball, throw it 5, 10 yards, complete the pass, keep the chains moving. That's all you got to do. You ain't got to be out there all scrambling and all that other stuff. We got a good line. We definitely got a good defense. They got some talent out there in the wideouts. They've got a really good team. It's just the quarterback situation has been horrible since Ben left. Um, so I think that this could be really good. If they're kind of sparingly playing Justin Fields and they're just allowing him to develop, they're letting that staff really work with him, Mike Tomlin working with him. Um, I think that this could be a really good. This could be a turnaround for Justin Fields and even the Steelers. I say it's turnaround for the Steelers. It's still hard for me to fathom that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in the NFL as a head coach. I love that. And, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I love it because you know what? Not very many people really talk about it. They don't talk about it until like the Steelers start losing, and then all of a sudden they turn it around, and then they finish with a winning record, and everybody's like, you know what? Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season his entire NFL career as a head coach. And it seems like they say it every season. Every season, it's like I hear that at the end of the year every season, even if they don't make the playoffs. It's like yeah, you do realize it was like that last year, the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before. It's like, did you forget how easily they forget? I guess is the thing. They're Big Sam. I guess that's the thing. Um, so I'm gonna ask you this question now. All right, let's change gears because a lot of teams have made moves in the off season, and there's still plenty of moves to be made because season's around the corner. You got preseason. Some teams are still gonna be looking to make moves before the season starts. I want to kind of talk. I'm gonna give you some names here. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about best free agents that are still available. Okay. I'm gonna throw some names out there to you. So let's yeah, okay. Let me get sure I got this right up pulled up for you right. Okay, let's start with my main man coming in first here. That's Kareem Hunt. What are your thoughts on Mr. Hunt, who was phenomenal running back when he was playing for the Chiefs. Has had quite a few good seasons with the Browns, but right now finds himself as a free agent. What are your thoughts on him?
Mhm. He's one of those guys. Depending on who he signs with, he could have a 1,000 yard season. He's not a bad running back. He's obviously a little bit, but I mean, we've still seen some guys that they have switched teams. They've signed with somebody new as they've kind of gotten a little bit older and had a decent season with them. Um, so he's a guy that can produce for you if he's your number one and if he's getting enough touches. I don't think he's going to be like a top 10 or 15 running back. But he can produce a little bit for you, depending on kind of who he signs with and how they feed him the ball and what their run scheme's like. So we'll see if he does end up signing with somebody. Um, could be an all right signing, but you never know. Depends on if he can stay healthy too.
Okay. I mean, I definitely can agree with that. I've always liked Kareem Hunt, and I think he is a pretty good running back. So I mean, time will tell. I mean, there's going to be teams that are going to probably need somebody. Well, wasn't he out for a while last season, and then he ended up re-signing with the Browns? Yeah, because he ended up re-signing with the Browns after um yeah, Nick Chubb went out. So this might be one of those for him. So I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so the next name I want to bring up is this guy here, DJ Humphries. He's a offensive tackle. It's right up your line, right up your alley. What are your thoughts on this gentleman here?
Hey man, you said right up my alley. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't know who this is, and that's not no slight to him or anything. I do consider myself a football guy, and I do like following offensive linemen more than probably the average person does, because that's what I played. Um, but with that being said, I am unfamiliar still with a lot of players. It's a lot of guys to keep up with. 32 teams, 22 guys. So I'm not familiar with everybody, so I can't tell you really too much. I see a C on his chest. He's a veteran guy. He's a captain. As far as how good he is as a player, I would assume pretty decent. So he could be a solid guy to add to the line. But that's about the only opinion I can give you, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. I was just throwing him in there because you are an offensive line guy. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about him either. I don't. I definitely don't follow offensive tackles or anything like that unless they're just. I don't know. No. I don't follow them at all. Nothing. And they're definitely. They're probably. That offensive line is probably one of the most important. Positions or to be a part of on a football team because you got to pick the quarterback. You can't pick the quarterback. Your team doesn't really have a chance to win. So my hats definitely go out to all the offensive tackles. You guys are, hey, you're out there. Sometimes it's a thankless job, but hey, someone has to freaking do it. So let's talk about this next guy here, um, which is not that um, Mason Cole. Now he's a center, but you follow Steelers. Do you know this guy at all? And if you do, what can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, like I've not been shy about. I am a Steelers fan. So I have watched quite a few Steelers games. And I do watch the offensive line play. I have watched this guy play. Um, the offensive line has not necessarily been the strongest point for the Steelers. Uh, kind of since like that Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown era. They had all those guys, but they also had a really, really good offensive line on that team. And that's been kind of a weak point for them. With that being said, he's a veteran guy. He has played a lot of football for him. Um, so he can come in and help you as an offensive lineman, especially if you have a center retiring or you have a young center. He's a guy that can come in, and he's been a veteran, so he's been around a little bit and played a lot of football. So those guys are always good additions to your squad, especially when they've started a lot of games. Regardless of how good or bad an offensive line is as a unit, there are still guys that can shine, and he is a pretty decent piece in the middle. So he can help your squad out a little bit for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I do because I've seen quite a few Steeler games, and I'm kind of like I guess an underground Steeler fan. I've liked the Steelers for quite some time. Of course, I'm a Patriots fan, die hard. But that doesn't mean I can't like certain teams because I've liked certain players off certain teams. And the Steelers have always had at least one or two players that I just really enjoy watching. And it's just like Watt and Hayward. Like they've got some dogs on that defensive side of the ball. I like Harris too as a running back. I've always been a big Ben Roethlisberger fan. Now, of course, when I really got into the Steelers, my main man Cordell Stewart was back there doing his thing back there. That was I fell in love with watching the Steelers play whenever Cordell Stewart was there. It was just fun to watch him. So it was it was cool. But yeah, it goes back. My like for the Steelers goes back quite a few years. And I can't argue with your analysis on that, mainly because I don't know the offensive line. So yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you. That'd be pointless. But no, I think that especially that center position because I mean, Kelsey really, I mean, he really showed you what a good center could really be, especially in modern days. He really showed you what that could really do for your offense and everything you were trying to accomplish. So, I mean, I'm hoping the best for the young man, and we're gonna see what happens with that. I say we're gonna do, Sam. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with some of these free agents and guys that are coming in. This commercial is going to be brought to you by W Energy Drinks. W Energy drinks are a wonderful way for you to gain that energy and focus that you need, and definitely by using the Birdman code, Birdman Show. You get 10% off of your complete order when you check out. So we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor, Debbie Energy Drinks.
Hi, I'm going to tell you about Debbie Energy Drinks. Debbie is an energy drink you mix at home. No jitters, no crash. Debbie is formulated to give you focus and energy. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented Nuofactor. No calories, no sugar, no fillers, no artificial colors. So if you need something to give you energy to take on the whole world, Debbie Energy is what you need. Go to debbie.gg. That's DUBBY.gg. Use promo code Birdman Show for 10% off your orders and tell them the Birdman sent you.
Yo, what is up? How you doing? It's your boy. It's the Birdman here on Birdman Sports. We're back. So why don't you go ahead and do it with me? That is right. We're back here on Birdman Sports, talking all kind of things. We're talking right now. We're talking NFL, football. I'm here right now with my one of my co-hosts, Big Sam. We're still kind of waiting on Richard. I have no idea. Never know what's going on with Richard. So I mean, we're just sitting there. We're holding it down. We're doing our thing. Sam, how are you holding up so far?
Man, I'm doing good. I enjoy talking football. I like letting the people know what kind of knowledge I actually have about the game a little bit. Um, with that being said, hey, Mr. Host, why didn't I hear that last commercial? Said he was in charge of all this other stuff. He was producer and all that, in charge of the music. And I didn't hear nothing, man.
Well,
You off your game a little bit today?
no, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the thing. Maybe got too much wax buildup or something. I don't know. But no, seriously though, no, I do enjoy talking NFL, talking. I just love talking sports in general. Um, So we left off. We were talking about a few free agents that are still available. The next one I kind of want to talk about because I mean I'm not. I guess I'm a little bit surprised, but not surprised. But at the same time, he has been hurt quite a bit off and on these last few seasons, and that is Michael Thomas, who was previously playing for the Saints. Um, are you kind of surprised about him still being a free agent, or does it kind of make sense? And do you see that he might have an opportunity to land somewhere that would be very beneficial for him and an organization?
Um, I mean, we'll kind of see what happens, but like you said, he's been injured a lot. Um, he was a guy that before a lot of these injuries happened, when he still had Drew Brees, he set the record for receptions in a year. Um, so he's a guy that has shown he can be a number one. Um, being that he's now older, being that he's been getting injured a lot, um, we'll kind of see what happens with him and his movement. But I could see a squad signing him for like a 1 year kind of like prove it deal. Um, a 1 year contract, 8 million, whatever it is. See if you can still be that guy. See if you can come in and be healthy for a season and produce for a team. I think that's kind of the spot that I see now for him. So like I said, we'll kind of see what happens if he ends up re-signing with the Saints, if he ends up signing somewhere else. Um, I do think it'll be a situation where it's going to be like a maybe a 2 year deal for about probably 15 million or something like that. Just kind of come in and prove you can stay healthy for a season and still be a good pass catcher on the outside for a squad and help it, help a team uh, maybe win a few games. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities out there for him. I think Michael, if you get a chance to go see the Patriots, they could definitely use somebody like you. Hopefully, but also we got to figure out that freaking. Hopefully, we got the quarterback situation figured out. I never thought Mac Jones was a great idea, but I'm also not running the organization either. So, what I think just does not matter. I mean, honestly, let's just be honest with that. Okay, so my next guy is another receiver, Sam, and that's Hunter Renfro. Now Hunter he's had some pretty good seasons. They were playing for the Raiders, um, and so kind of somewhat of a surprise. But once again, when it comes to a lot of these guys, I'm some of them are. It's like I'm kind of surprised, but at the same time, I think a lot of these organizations, when it comes with, especially organizations that probably need receivers, if they still know these guys are going to be available, they're going to work some other angles to try to improve their rosters other way. But knowing that they can get a reliable veteran in these guys, so I think they still got a wonderful opportunity. Once again, Hunter go to the Patriots. I think they have wonderful opportunity to land some spots. What are your thoughts when it comes to Mr. Renfro?
Yeah, I mean he's a veteran pass catcher. He's a guy that when he came into the league, I watched him at Clemson, and he was that guy in college. That doesn't always necessarily translate to the NFL. Um, he has had some good seasons with the Raiders. That was with Derek Carr at quarterback. Derek Carr is, in my opinion, a top 10, 15 guy. He's a really good quarterback. He's produced. He's thrown a lot of yards, thrown a lot of touchdowns. Um, and I think in the case of Renfro and him, I think it was a case of really good connection. Uh, that's a lot of buddy ball right there, feeding him the ball. But yeah, now as he's getting a little bit older, a lot of these young guys, a lot of corners, linebackers, a lot of guys are pretty versatile now. And I think him being a little bit older, he can still produce for you a little bit as a number three guy, in the slot. But I don't really think he's going to have some huge season for whoever signs him. But he can come in and be a guy can get you a good 600 yards, on the season and kind of help your receiving core out a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands and see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree. And side note, by the way, Sam, commercials are working fine. Your ears are not. But no, I do definitely agree with that. Um, I just think because of how the game is going, the game of football is going. You're going to see a kind of influx of some of these younger guys, and a lot of it's because organizations they're trying. Um, I think they're kind of trying to follow the model of the NBA in some cases. When I say that, as in like trying to find young players, players that you can actually put more years into. Um, you definitely want to have those veteran players, though. I mean, you definitely want to have proven guys. So I think a lot of them are starting to pull back a little bit on some of those veteran guys, so they can get younger guys in and keep a few of the veteran guys around, because they know if they have a talented quarterback. I mean, you look at like what Tom Brady did in those years up in New England, where it seemed like like the organization they were just depleting every offensive weapon that he had, and they were still winning. But that's because we had a great quarterback, one of the all time greats, um, throwing the ball. But you also look at some of the things that somebody like Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay. Another quarterback I'm drawing a blank on. I there, there's been a lot of great quarterbacks that hadn't had necessarily had the weapons. And like I said, and I bring up, even though I'm a Patriots fan, I bring up the fact that when you look at Tom Brady in his career, the only time he had a top 10 receiver was when he had Randy Moss. I mean, when you really look at that whole makeup, now he had a Hall of Fame tight end and Gronk, but I'm talking about as far as Gronk, he can play tight end, he can play out in the white out. You can put him anywhere on the field, just like somebody like Kittles in San Francisco, Kelsey in KC. Who's another one? What's his name in Baltimore? Yeah, Andrew. You look at a lot of those guys. I mean, those guys tight ends, and you have to go back to like Tony Gonzalez, who also played Kansas City, and some of those tight ends like that. I mean, the game is changing, and I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm not gonna say I don't want to be stuck doing the same thing over and over. Like some kind of change. I'm not saying you know doing experiments like lingerie football or anything like that. Um, what I am saying, change is good. But yeah, I agree with when it comes to some of these teams. I think like with Thomas and with Renfro, I think those guys will end up on a squad, um, and I think they'll still, they're still going to be contributing at a high level. These guys are not; they haven't played this long without, definitely being a reliable source. I can almost, it, I mean, for what they could probably get for him, I can see like somebody like Renfro or Thomas going to someplace like Kansas City. Or like I said, the Patriots. You got let's see who else. Maybe the Broncos, because they could use another wideout. There's a lot of teams out there that could use either one of those two gentlemen. So it should be pretty interesting to see that. And I just on a side note, we were talking about earlier about Jefferson signing his new deal, and I was looking up something, and I found the actual. I was trying to look it up before I could find it and pull it up here. It's not working too well for me. So I'm just going to read this off. So we're talking about the receivers um, for this year coming up, and their contract for just per year. Jefferson is sitting at 35 million per year. Then you got Brown from the Eagles at 32 million. Saint Brown from the Lions at 30.002 million. You got Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins at 30 million. Waddle, his teammate, also on the Dolphins at 28.25 mil. Adams for the Raiders at 28 mil. Cup from the Rams at 26.7. Smith from the Eagles at 25. Collins from the Texans at 24.25, and Metcalf from the Seahawks at 24 million. What really gets me about this, Big Sam, as you're looking at this, there's two, two teams with two sets of players. You got teammates on there. You got the Eagles and you got the Dolphins. That they've got top paid receivers that are on their squads. Looking at those to the right, first of all, who are you picking this year in preseason? You know, who do you think is going to be at the Super Bowl at the end of the year?
What team am I picking for the Super Bowl?
What two teams?
What two teams? We said that last week.
Well,
I said the Lions and the Chiefs.
I think I said the Lions. Didn't
I don't know. You might have. I know I said the Lions for sure. I don't remember who the other team was. I think the Chiefs. So.
Listen, man, you know, I don't remember everything. I wrote down somewhere, but I never forgot what I wrote down.
I think I said Lions and Chiefs. Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
So you're going to Lions Chiefs. Now, it's crazy because off that list.
Off that list, you got Will St. Brown, who's on Lions. And you know what's crazy? Like the Chiefs, that they don't have not one single receiver on this list. That's crazy to me. But it kind of reinforces what I was talking about when it came to like Tom Brady. When you've got a great quarterback, you can get over some things. There's some things you can get over. That you know, somebody like Patrick Mahomes can truly cover up on your offensive side because he is such a great quarterback. And you know the passes that he makes, the touch that he puts on the ball, his decision making just puts him in a level where it almost it's almost like he can just walk into the stadium and he just walk up to the stands and be like, okay, you, come on, put jersey on, let's go. We're gonna play this game this Sunday. You know, and he's going out there and play some backyard football because to me that's what it feels like half the time when I'm watching him play. That this dude is just out there playing backyard football. He's taking a knee in the dirt, grabbing a little stick, and he's like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a zigzag here, and he's just drawing up plays in the dirt. That's what I really enjoy watching him play. And that's why for me, I mean, the Chiefs are always going to be a scary team when it comes to the playoffs. They may not be as flashy during the regular season, but they are definitely a scary team come playoff time, and not some team you want to take lightly or really want to have anything to do with. Who do you think is going to be who's your coach of the year? Who do you think is going to be the coach of the year for this season?
Mm, that's a pretty good question. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if it was Harbaugh with the Chargers. We saw him have a lot of success with the Niners. And then he's coming off a national championship at Michigan. Turning them into an absolute national powerhouse. Obviously, college football and NFL football are different, but we've seen him have an absolute ton of success at both levels. Um, so I think you have him coming in and pairing with a guy like Justin Herbert. I mentioned Joe Alt coming in as a rookie to shore up that offensive line, pairing him with Rashawn Slater on the other side. Um, I think having those two guys to protect Herbert on the outside, and with Harbaugh's reputation as a run first kind of guy, I think that offense is going to be greatly improved. I think they're going to have a solid run game. Herbert is an absolutely world class guy. His arm is spectacular. So he's going to win you games just on his arm talent alone. Um, but I think you pair that with an improved probably defense. Um, a, I would assume a stronger run game than they've had in previous seasons. with a really talented guy like Herbert. I think if they can win, 10 games, I can see Harbaugh winning Coach of the Year for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can really argue with that because I think Justin Herbert is because of what's happened over the last few years with him. I think he's kind of a forgotten quarterback. I think that because of all because of his injuries and because of just how the team is just really just underperformed. And they just seem to have folded and kind of just disappeared. I think people forget how good he really is because he hasn't had the path and the success that a Patrick Mahomes has had, or even a Joe Burrow, or Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor's his was rock. He had a rocky season, but the organization was kind of up in the air until they finally got a head coach in there that could actually steady the ship and help calm him down as well and get him on the right path. But when you look at Justin Herbert and you look at those Chargers, they're still a good team. And I think they're going to get better, especially under the head coach under Harbaugh. I think they're going to look a lot better. Now, are they going to look great right out the gate? I don't know. Is it going to take time for them before they really truly gel, or for Harbaugh to get those guys on the right track? I don't know. We've seen it happen before where the new coach comes in, all of a sudden they just like, hey, we're there with your coach, and they take off. Some take off and keep going. Some kind of take off, fizzle. Some kind of stuck in the mud a little quicksand. Takes a little bit to get out of it. We don't know, but I do believe that Justin Herbert is a. I don't believe. I know he's a much better quarterback than how he's been playing over the last few seasons. But he has had injuries, and he was playing through a lot of those injuries as well. So, I mean, time will tell. Time will tell. I think that is I think that's a good solid pick for Coach of the Year. Um, but I mean, hey, still got Mr. Reed over there in KC. They got him and them boys. And, you got Patrick Mahomes back there, and Kelsey blocking and catching. Chanko running. I mean, it's still gonna be hard to beat those boys out, and even Andy Reid what they're doing. Okay, so Sam, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take another real quick commercial break, and when we come back, I want to talk. We're gonna jump into the NBA. We're gonna talk a little. We're gonna talk some NBA. I got a couple of I got a surprise category for you that we're gonna talk about when we come back. But we're gonna come back after we hear these messages from our sponsor, Spotify for podcasters, which is one of the easiest ways to do an audio podcast. Super easy tools, and it's just easy fun. So definitely check out this word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with more of Birdman Podcast. Hey, it's the Birdman here, and I have a question for you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? If so, have you heard about Spotify for podcasters and why it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place? Allow me to explain. Spotify for podcasters has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone, tablet, or computer. And when hosting on Spotify for podcasters, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. It's really everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And the best thing about it, it's totally free. Podcasters.spotify.com to get started. And just tell them a little birdie told you. A Birdman, that is. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boys Birdman here from Birdman Sports Podcast. Yeah, we're having a little fun over here. We had like a little incident there with the stand and a charger. So yeah, it was it's a little crazy over here. But yes, we are back with more of the Birdman Sports Podcast. I am the Birdman. That is Big Sam. Still no Richard. I'm definitely gonna have to call him. And yeah. Anyways, Sam, how the heck you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I mean, no Richard, a little bit sad. Kind of curious what's up with that. But with that being said, I've been able to get some good thoughts in. So, um, little skill like right there. But
You gotta weigh it out. You gotta weigh it out. That's what you gotta do. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, after we took our before we took that break, I said I want to get into a little bit of NBA. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Like you said, we already know that the finals is right around the corner. Game one starts Thursday, which will be in Boston, right?
mm-hmm.
Yes. So game one's gonna be in Boston. I think it should be a really good, fun series. I don't want to quite get into the finals yet because there's a couple of questions I'm gonna ask Sam first. But I do think it's definitely going to be a good. This should be a good finals. I don't know why everybody. I get Dallas is hot. They are a great team. But if you're gonna sleep on Tatum and Brown, maybe you should rethink some of the things you're doing. Those two are a phenomenal pair. They are a very good pair. They're both extremely good offensively, but they're also just as talented defensively. I think a lot of times what people fail to realize is that as talented as Kyrie is offensively, sometimes he can disappear on you defensively. So it's going to be one of those things. Of how I really want to see what the match is going to be. I do believe that Tatum and Brown are probably going to be on Luka and Irving. I want to see what's going to happen on the other end. Is Irving going to guard Brown? Or they're going to put him on somebody else? They're going to force somebody else to guard Brown. Is we going to guard Tatum? I think a lot of times that's what the matchups and everything where it becomes a very, very fun and interesting thing. But I don't know. We will definitely see. Um, so Sam, I'm gonna do something that I did this once before. I think it was like the very first season I ever did the Hey Coach podcast. And this was a question that I had asked when I did that episode, and I'm gonna ask you now. What we're gonna do is give me a second. Give me a second to pull this up. It's a fun game I like to play every once in a while, and this one is the best NBA teams to never win an NBA championship. So I'm gonna throw a couple of names out there. I want you to kind of, if you can, tell me a little bit about them. If you agree with this, okay. So one of the first ones I want to throw out here. Let me go. Didn't want to pull up. Sorry, I apologize. Um, so we got, and I'm talking strictly like roster. Now the version I'm doing here is it's more kind of it has a lot more modern teams on there than it did in the previous one I did. But it is.
It is definitely one that we had did before, or that kind of type of thing. So one of the teams I'm gonna throw out here is where are they at? Right here. Okay, so let's start with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, when you look at that roster that was on there, Big Sam, when they had Kevin Durant, you had Kyrie Irving, you had James Harden, Ben Simmons was still there. Um, let's see, I think Blake Griffin was on that squad as well. When you look at that roster, just on paper, let's say you can pick up every roster of every NBA team, especially when those guys were all together, and you can see all those guys on there. Would you have picked them to win an NBA title?
You certainly could have. Looking at them on paper, obviously they have Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players, probably one of the top like two or three scorers the game has ever seen. Um, Kyrie Irving, we all know what he can do, what he is on the basketball court, just absolutely dynamic as a finisher with his handle. He's a underrated shooter as well, I think. Um, James Harden in the 2010s was probably the greatest scorer I've ever seen personally. Um, I think looking at it on paper, yeah, you could have easily picked them to win an NBA championship. But you go back and look, there were guys that were injured. There were guys not playing due to uh, COVID restrictions or whatever. There were a lot of guys that just didn't have time to gel. Ben Simmons didn't play a whole lot. Um, I think Kevin Durant played the most out of any of these guys on that squad, and they still ended up winning 40 games or whatever, 40, 45 games. They were a Kevin Durant toe away from beating the Bucks in the playoffs, um, but they just didn't have a whole lot of time to gel and get things figured out with guys on the court. You could be a talented squad, but if you don't have any of that chemistry, it's going to be tough to win, especially in the playoffs. So on paper, you could say that I would be surprised that they didn't win a championship, but I did get to watch this team, and I saw a lot of all the dysfunction that was going on with them. So I'm not surprised that they didn't win. Um, Looking at what actually happened.
Yeah, I mean that was a time when like you said, I mean Kevin Durant played majority of that season, and majority of that season, Kyrie was gone for personal reasons. He wasn't even really hurt that much that season. He was gone from personal reasons. James Harden couldn't stay out of Whataburger or strip club. Um, he just there was a multitude of issues. Ben Simmons still had his phantom back injury. There was just a multitude of things that were going on with that team that it was sad to watch. It was hard. It was really hard to watch, honestly. Um, what was going on with that team? Because when I saw him similar, I was like, ooh, this could be nice. I was starting to get like, I was getting thoughts and shades of OKC team when they had Westbrook and Durant, Harding. Before they messed up and let Harding go. I was like, oh, this could be the Thunder 2.0. This could be this the Brooklyn connection up in here. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. And I'm like, oh, this is trash. This is trash. It's it was horrible. It was horrible to watch. It was horrible that they kept reporting on it. I just thought it was just horrible in general. Yeah, it was just bad. It was just plain bad. Okay, so next team I'm gonna bring up. Okay, now you may or may not know anything about this squad. I don't know. But the next team I'm gonna bring up is gonna be the 1999 or 1993. Sorry, Phoenix Suns. Now this team they had a pretty decent roster. You had Charles Barkley, um, Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley. I don't think no, he was still with the he was still with what's his name? But you had Richard Dumas, who played and had his one drug-free season. Cedric Sabalas, who was still pretty good. Danny Ainge, Tom Chambers. They had a pretty darn good squad, but I can understand why they didn't win because that was also a Jordan year, and Jordan wasn't happy. So so when you think about that team, I don't like I said, I don't know how much you actually know about that squad. But hearing that, what do you think about that?
Uh, don't get me wrong. I am a student of the game a little bit. Um, I'm obviously more familiar with more modern basketball because that's what I've grown up watching. But I have watched and seen a lot of things from 90s teams, 80s teams. Watching guys like Bird or even Charles Barkley. Because I don't think a lot of people realize, especially this day and age, how actually good of a player Charles Barkley was. Um, you see him as kind of this almost bumbling idiot on inside the NBA. Which don't get me wrong, he is a little bit. Love you, Charles. But he was a fantastic player,
Yeah.
especially for the Suns. But no, as soon as you said 1993, I mean, it was the 90s, man. The Bulls were winning everything. So I'm not surprised that they didn't win. Um, just seeing that, but they did have an absolute stellar squad. And I think was that the year that they played in the finals? Because I know they played in the finals at least once or twice. I think in the '90s. So it's not like they didn't have a shot. They were there, but they just come across one of the greatest dynasties of all time in the '90s Bulls. So it's just unfortunate for them because that was a pretty star-studded team and a really really good team.
Yeah, it really was. I enjoyed watching them play. They were a very good team, but I mean, that was just like most teams that played in George there. When he finally was able to get the pieces around him so he could win. Like I said, I love Jordan. We're not getting into the GOAT debate, but the thing is that, like I said, when he didn't have the pieces, he wasn't winning. His teams were not going anywhere. When they finally got the pieces that were going to be needed for him to be successful, they won. And when they won, they won. So yeah, that just was not happening. And where there's no team, of course, we're definitely going to talk about. Um, yeah, that actually, unfortunately, going to fit that criteria as well. Now, this next team is one of the teams I enjoyed watching a lot. I love their style of play. They were just a phenomenal basketball team. And that was a 2002 Sacramento team. That team was awesome. I loved watching them. They had a young Chris Webber. They had Mike Bibby, Peja Storakovic. They also had Doug Christie, who was a phenomenal 3-and-D player, and Vladi, who came over from the Lakers to play. And they were just a phenomenal team. Unfortunately, they just could not get past the Lakers. There was a few times that they could have got past me, and I thought they were going to get past them, but they couldn't. I mean, the last time was Big Shot Bob. Get Lottie trying to tip the ball out, trying to tip the ball because trying to keep the ball out of there, and he ends up tipping it back to Big Shot Bob, caught at the top of the key, launched that bad boy, game winning three. Um, that was a phenomenal team to watch. Did you get a chance to watch those teams back in the early 2000s?
I've seen a little bit, and I know some of these guys' resumes. Like you mentioned, Chris Webber. He was a dog. I mean, Chris Webber was a straight hooper, man. Um, Peja. I mean, that was Steph Curry and Ray Allen. Before them two guys. Before him, I think you really think of like Reggie Miller as like that kind of first great 3-point shooter. But he was right there with those guys in that conversation. He was an absolutely deadly shooter, man. Um, and then a couple of those other guys you mentioned, Mike Bibby was a decent player, solid role player. Um, so, but like you said, coming across the Lakers, man, is just like coming across those early Bulls teams. With Kobe and Shaq and a lot of those guys. Like, even if you got a chance to win, like, how are you really beating those guys? There are just some squads that you see them play, you see them on paper. You see a team that has Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal on it, and you think they're going to win everything. So, not surprised. It's the same scenario with the '93 Suns. A very talented squad. They just came across the wrong team, man.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
It was
it was
just
just
it was just one of those things, man. I mean, and that happens. That happens from time to time. There's just some teams, that they just have your number, or it's just their time to shine. I mean, you think about like the Golden State Warriors, and all in the championships they've won, and how hard how difficult it was for teams to win, especially if they got on a roll. If you think about their last championship they had, a lot of people didn't really give them much of a chance to beat the Celtics. And all intents and purposes, Celtics played really good, but the Celtics, then this, and that's why I think they're a much different team, definitely a much better team than back then when they played against the Warriors. Their Achilles heel was turnovers. It was always turnovers. Whenever they had 16 or more turnovers, what I'm saying, they weren't hitting their shots. They lost every single game. The game that they controlled the ball and they took smart shots, they won and they won convincingly. It's not like they were really close games. So I just think yeah, when you run teams like that, sometimes it is what it is. Okay, so the last team I want to talk about, Big Sam, the guy in particular, this one was I think it was the 94 Utah Jazz. Okay, now that was a great those Jazz teams back then were really really good. It was just this this one was after, and I honestly thought that after Jordan had retired the first time, I thought that was probably going to be the best opportunity for the Jazz. I just thought, what their squad was, they brought everybody back. You had John Stockton, you had Karl Malone, Jeff Malone, Jeff Hornacek, Tom Chambers, who was, one another player we talked about from one other team. He was on that squad. They had a really good squad. But then out of nowhere, here comes Akeem Olajuwon, and the Rockets have said, "Nah, we're gonna go ahead and take the next two." While Jordan's trying to figure things out. We're just gonna go ahead and take the next two. What I'm saying? Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So, what were some of your thoughts when it comes to when you think about that '94 Jazz team?
It's a king, baby. I've seen plenty of highlights and plenty of video and film from this series. Mainly just watching Hakeem work in that series. Again, this is a case of a really loaded roster that just played a team that was also really talented. Also had a Hall of Fame guy in Hakeem Olajuwon. Um, that just they had their number that year. Um, it's just another one of those kind of unfortunate scenarios. You always can look on paper and see that teams have great rosters and you can pick them to win. That just doesn't always necessarily mean they're going to win, which has been the case for all of these teams that we've talked about. It's not that they're not talented teams; they're absolutely loaded, and they obviously had a lot of success, winning a lot of games in the regular season. Getting into the playoffs. Getting to the Western Conference Finals, or I think that was when where they lost to Hakeem. Is that right? It was in the conference finals.
yeah.
So I mean, even getting to the conference finals, like you're a fantastic team. That means you're one of the top four teams in the NBA. You know, um, it's just unfortunate that they came across who they came across.
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, you can't say any better. I mean, it was just one of those times where this just goes to show you, especially in the NBA, but in general, all sports, major sports, it is hard to get to the finals. It's hard to get to a championship, and it's even harder to win it. You could have everything, all the stars lined up, everything's reading right. You could do everything right up until the last second and lose it all. I don't know how many teams. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Let's go. Let's jump back to the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles, when they had that star-studded roster when Andy Reid was coaching there, they had Don McNabb. They brought in, who was it? That was the Terrell Owens, Prince on the defensive side. I think it was Prince. I remember they had. I mean, the offense and defense was. I mean, they brought in a bunch of guys. It almost looked like, what I'm saying, it almost looked like somebody who was creating a roster on Madden and just like took their favorite team and then drafted Hall of Fame players for both sides of the football. You know what I'm saying? That's what it kind of looked like. I was like, good God, these dudes about to walk through the NFL to a championship, and I think they made the playoffs. I don't remember if they even made the playoffs. But when you look at something like that, you're thinking, hey, they should, but it just goes to show you it's hard. These, I think sometimes as fans, we take it for granted that, saying these teams, every single team in every single professional sport is working their tails off to make it to the championship. And so therefore, you never know if you're going to make it. There's nothing set in stone. I don't care how good you think your team is or how good a team thinks they are. You have to play that game, and you have to play every single minute of that game. Because the moment you let off in a championship game that's the moment that your team can end up losing it. So I mean, that's why we play the game, man, because you never know what's going to happen. So that's why you got to do it. So yeah, I thought it would be a little fun segment to do. But we need to go ahead and get into what we really came here to talk about, and that's the NBA final. It is now set. You've got the Dallas Mavericks going against the Boston Celtics, my C's. I'm definitely happy that they're back, but we still got work to do. Still got work to do. Um, like I said before, I think it's going to be a really good finals, and I am seriously looking forward to it. But like I said, they just can't. There's no, just not time to rest. There's a lot of stuff that they've got going on. So you said you were picking Dallas in 5. Oh, he's saying okay. You're taking Dallas in 6. Okay. I wanted to go 7. I'm gonna be honest with you. As much as I love my C's, um, I hate saying it, I would love to see Luca win. I honestly would. I would love to see Luca win. I wouldn't want it to be against my Celtics. But if we were going to have to lose somebody, I would. Luca, I just love Luca's game. Now he does kind of get on my nerves with the whole throwing up your hands and when you obviously fouled somebody, you've already done this, whatever. That does get on my nerves when it comes to a lot of the stuff when he's doing that kind of stuff. But I mean, like I said, it's part of the game. Guys they've kind of evolved with that kind of thing. But yeah, it is slightly annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Um, what are your thoughts when it comes to just the teams in general, with what's going on with them?
I mean, both of these squads, Boston has been one of the best teams in the NBA all year. Um, they're one of those squads that we look on paper and we say, okay, they're going to be in the NBA championship. They're going to be playing for a championship, at the end of the season. Um, and that ended up being the case. Um, you know, because on the court they are that good also. Um, I think Dallas may be a little bit of a surprise, making it to the finals, simply because they're a 6 seed. Um, but that's the only reason that I would say that. Um, like I think I've mentioned it in one of the past shows. excuse me, the Western Conference was just absolutely stacked this year. I mean, you had 10 seeds winning 45 games. Like there was just an absolutely loaded Western Conference, and they've been playing just spectacular basketball all throughout the playoffs. They've really become a really good defensive team, um, which they were kind of middle of the pack during the regular season in terms of just their overall kind of team defensive stats. Um, you obviously have Luca, who is a very experienced ball player. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week. He's been playing pro basketball since he was 14 or 15. Um, so he's played a lot of basketball at a really high level for a lot of years. And he's one of the top guys in the league. We all know who he is, what he can do. Um, we've talked about the pairing with Kyrie, um, how at first they kind of struggled a little bit, but they only got about a half a season to play together. And this season they've been really gelling, those two guys. We know what Kyrie can do. He's one of the stars in this series that has been here. He's won a couple of championships. Um, I think Dallas as a team, though, overall, they've been playing really good basketball. They've been playing uh, basketball that wins you playoff games. Playing tough defensively, having guys, their bigs just playing with a ton of energy, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds. Um, Guys have been scoring for him. PJ Washington's been playing really well. Um, Derek Lively, we mentioned him. He's been playing really well. Derek Jones, he has been playing surprisingly well. He's been shooting three really well. So they're going to be a solid, really tough out for the Celtics. So I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for them. And like I said, Dallas is my pick to win, just because of what I've seen them do throughout the playoffs. So it's going to be a fun matchup. But Boston's been here before. You know, Tatum and Brown. They've been in the Eastern Conference Finals like 5 or 6 years or something like that. They've been in the finals 1 or 2 years, I think, in that span. Obviously, losing to the Celtics or the Warriors in 2020 or 2021. But it'll be a fun matchup. It's going to be nice, regardless, to see guys win a ring. Either Tatum and Brown, and those guys win a ring, or you see Luca get his first. So we're going to be seeing some of these young guys get their first ring, regardless of who wins. So it's gonna be a fun series, man. I'm really looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I do believe it's going to be a good, fun series. I like I said, I just I I just want to see a good game. We've talked about this many times before. I want to see a good game. I want to be able to see this. I like seeing these two teams, and I'm really looking forward to it because it's kind of almost like the changing of the guard when it comes to the two teams we're playing. Both these teams have great talent. Um, Kyrie's not young, not old, but he's also not young. Um, and Luca, even though he's only been in the league for like what 6 years, I believe. But the thing, like you just said, like he's been playing professional ball since he's 15. So even though he's not been in the league that long, he has the feel, he has the charisma, the how he plays, how he carries himself. He has that feel of somebody who's been in the league for 12, uh, 14 years. And I love watching it. Like I said, I love Luke. I love his game. He reminds me with the things that he does. He reminds me. And when I'm saying this, his mind, how he thinks, how he sees the game, reminds me a lot of LeBron. Um, I think overall, I think he's especially now. I mean, he's a little bit better of a talent. He's able to do able to lead his team a little bit better. But like I said, I'm a huge fan. Of course, everybody already knows I'm a huge fan of the Boston Celtics in general. They've got a great core, and I'm so happy that they were able to work things out with Jalen Brown. They got him back. You got Tatum. If we just keep freaking Porzingis healthy, For the love of God, get him some freaking help in the bigs. You know what I'm saying? I think they've got a really good core as well. So I like I said, I'm really wanting to just to see if this is going to be a good finals. Like I said, I wanted to go 7. I really wanted to go 7. Um, I originally I think I picked Boston in 6, maybe 5. I think it was either 5 or 6. I can't remember. I think it was 6. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because a lot of a lot of us thought the T Wolves were going to be that team that was there. As we're getting a promo from Toyota. Hey Toyota, you need to sponsor the Birdman Sports podcast. But no, seriously, yeah, Toyota, seriously, you need to sponsor the show. Anyways, no, I just hope it's going to be a good finals. Like I said, I'm picking Celtics in 6. And like I hope they come through. I would love for us to get another championship. To be what, our 17th as an organization. Is it 18th? I thought the Lakers passed us, but oh no, they tied us. Yeah, so it'd be I think it would be 18 because the Lakers tied when LeBron and AD won the bubble championship at 17. So yes, it'll be 18. So we'll be back in the lead. And I don't think the Lakers are going to catch. I don't think anybody's going to catch the Celtics organization after that. So yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to ask you this question before because we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up. But I'm going to ask you this question, Big Sam. I'm going to ask this question to everybody out there. I hope this is the question we're going to ask Chard next time he's on, whatever that's going to be. As far as dynasties go, do you think it's the end of the road for the Warriors? And if so, who's the next dynasty do you think has its opportunity to rise?
I would say it's probably the end for the Warriors. Um, like we've talked about, like I mentioned, the Western Conference is just very good from top to bottom. Um, they got a lot of guys that are getting older. Steph is still doing what Steph does. Um, I think I don't think we give him enough credit for his longevity or even realize how long he's been in the league. He's been in the league for a good 14, 15 years. He's been around for a while actually. I don't think a lot of people really realize that. I know I certainly don't from time to time. But he's still doing his thing. A lot of those guys are kind of falling out a little bit. We've seen a drop in Klay Thompson's play. Um, Draymond does some good things for you, but I think he can also be a little detrimental to teams at times with his behavior. They do have a lot of young guys that are really talented. Kaminga, um, that Podziemski kid or whatever, however you pronounce his last name, um, and a couple other. Wiggins is still he's a little bit older, but he's still kind of a younger cat. Um, so they have some guys, but I don't think they're going to be winning any more championships anytime soon. In terms of who could be that next dynasty, um, it could. Maybe this is the kind of passing of the torch to the Celtics. Like I've said, they've been there, 5, 6 years now with Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. Getting to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. And making it to the finals. And now they're back again. So maybe this is the year where they ended up winning, and maybe they can string together a couple more seasons after this, where maybe they get back to the finals or get back to an Eastern Conference Finals again, and have a chance to play for another title, and maybe they win a second one. Maybe they win a third one. I only say that because of how they have been winning since they've had those guys there. They're one of the top organizations in all of sports for a very long time. Um, I think even when they weren't winning championships or really necessarily making it far into the finals, they still had some good squads. I think you could maybe look at the Thunder with how young they are, how many draft picks they have, what kind of moves they could do by either drafting guys or trading some of those picks away. Um, I think the Thunder are really only a couple of pieces away, kind of like the Celtics were a few years ago. Only a couple pieces away from winning a championship. Getting to the finals, but just playing bad basketball. But once they added guys in, they made it to the finals and they had a legitimate shot to win. Um, the T Wolves, I know they just got beaten five in the conference finals, but they're a really young squad and they've got some really talented guys. Especially in Anthony Edwards. So we'll kind of see what happens. I think this year with who wins. If Boston does win, maybe it's kind of their turn to be that kind of dynasty team. But there's a lot of young squads out there that are really talented that can do some things. So we'll kind of see what happens over the next couple of years. But I would say those are probably my three teams that I could see really becoming those 55, 60 win teams that are in the conference finals, year to year, in the NBA finals from year to year. So like I said, we'll see what happens, but those are a couple of squads that I think could really build something with what they have now.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the part about the Celtics. But no, you're not, sir. You're not. Unfortunately for you, you're not. But no, I definitely agree, and I think a lot of it is because even though I'm joking, but I'm not. Um, I do believe that because of the fact that they do have a fairly young nucleus there that has been very successful, and so they've had that opportunity to win and lose and grow all at the same time. I think that's tremendous for um, for that organization and for those players because they've gotten better every single year. And I just love that about them. They've gotten better every single year, and they've got deeper and deeper every year. Of course, they played against the Warriors. It's about as deep as you get, playing in the NBA championship. And now they're here. They are back again. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think all those aforementioned teams that you talked about also are on the cusp. I think I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. That Thunder team is dangerous. They are dangerous. And the way Shea was playing this year, man, I, geez, man, that team is dangerous. They're dangerous. T Wolves are dangerous, especially now that if you can keep Rudy doing what he's doing, holding down the paint. Big Cat starting to step up and play like everybody thought he should have been playing like when he first got in the league. And then the emergence of um, Anthony Edwards. That right there was probably like the biggest surprise. Like I thought the kid was good, but the way he played, I was like, whoa, okay, all right, I see you there, boy. I see you, youngster. I see what you're doing. I just think that there's a lot of dangerous teams, and I mean, people are talking about LeBron's gonna be retiring soon. Steph's gonna probably be retiring soon. Same thing with KD and some of these other guys, and the NBA is just not gonna be what it is. No, the NBA is not gonna be like what it was before. I just think I think it's gonna be a little bit more exciting. I think it's gonna be a little bit balls gonna be moving up and down the court more. We're gonna have these old heads trying to, pace the ball up and down the court. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I get out and play pickup ball. I'm not trying to run a gun. I'm trying to stroll and skip rocks. I don't be doing that running gun and stuff, man. No, if I get a rebound, I'm looking to launch that book. Hey, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, hey, I'm trying to just kind of get there. I'm gonna get from point A to point B when I get there. But yeah, that's about it. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be it's gonna be great finals. I'm hoping it's gonna be great finals. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, game one's gonna be this Thursday. Thursday night, June 6th, in Boston. So if you get a chance, get around TV, go to a bar. I'm not encouraging anybody to drink. Go to someplace and watch the game and check out some great NBA basketball. Big Sam, what are your closing remarks for this episode?
Man, Kyrie's gonna piece y'all up in game one. Coming back to Boston, I'm just saying it right now. Kyrie's going for a 40 ball. Dallas in 6. That's all I got to say.
Well, once again, like I said, this is why we play the game. We'll find out what's going to happen when the ball gets tipped up and the games go. Yeah, like I said, Sam, definitely appreciate you. But I need to find out what's going on with Rashard. See what that fool doing. But definitely missing this episode. Yeah, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us for this episode. Definitely don't forget, if you want to check out this episode or any future episodes, just go to our YouTube channel, which you're on right now, and just go to Birdman Sports Podcast. Check out any of our past episodes, and definitely make sure you hit that notification bell, subscribe button, so that we can stay in tune with anything going on with Birdman Sports. Now, if you like Birdman Sports and you love the opportunity to talk just about anything else, don't forget about the Birdman Show podcast, which is basically my podcast I do with the military side. We do a lot of true crime stories on there, and we deal with a lot of mental health and everything. Well, that's what we're going to be doing this Wednesday. This Wednesday on the Birdman Show, we will be talking about men's mental health. So if you get a chance, especially if you're a guy out there and you may be struggling with your mental health, and you just want to tune in, listen to some other guys talk about it. Definitely consider coming checking us out over on the Birdman Show podcast over on YouTube or our YouTube channel. Definitely come check us out this Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. It's gonna be a good episode. I think we're gonna be able to talk about some things that a lot of guys struggle with, and hopefully we can help you get through some of those struggles. That's the main goal of that. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just to kind of help guys generally just get through things. Yeah, that is it for me. That's all we got from Big Sam. We want to thank you guys. Like I said, once again, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the Birdman Sports Podcast. It's been fun. It's been real. We'll see you guys next time.